listening to a podcast last night, and they were talking about Jack Parsons. Oh, it's 6 a.m. out here, by the way. Beautiful. So awesome. And you know why it's awesome? Because it's just me. Yeah, so I'm listening to this podcast about Jack Parsons, who was an occultist and a rocket scientist, who is most known for the Babylon working, which was like a 3-month ritual thing he did with L. Ron Hubbard of Scientology fame, where the idea was to do sex magic rituals to have a woman give birth to what would be, I guess, some kind of Antichrist figure. I think what they were trying to do. At any rate, it didn't work. But I think the story is what they did was they screwed it up so bad that it let loose a lot of stuff into the world that people are still dealing with today. So they didn't do a very good job of it. They were using Aleister Crowley's work to as an outline, and he's an interesting guy. Jack Parsons, a lot about him. He ended up dying in an explosion. I think later in the 50s. He only lived to be 37. But as far as his occult ties, the thing he's known most for is that whole Babylon working thing. It's something you can easily find. This isn't like super esoteric knowledge. I think there's probably a lot of resources online where you could find this information. But anyway, him and Hubbard kind of fucked this thing up. They didn't get the child. They didn't get the woman to be pregnant with the child. And they unleashed some other shit. Now, Crowley himself fucked some bad shit up too. When he used to live over on the Loch, he started this really intensive ritual. Another like a demon summoning type of thing that he started. And in the middle of it, he just split and went on vacation and never came back to the lake house to fix it. So whatever he got worked up over there, they say was still there, the energies. And Jimmy Page, who's an occult guy, he ended up buying the place and living there for quite a number of years. I don't know exactly what happened there. I'm sure there's stories, but the point of all this is during the podcast they were talking about Jack Parsons' origin story, and that's really what it is more than a light. Because as I'm listening to it, it's one of those veil things, the veil bro scale bro thing, the breakdown of the veil, the scales coming off the eyes. You're seeing things, you're understanding things that you wouldn't before. I'm listening to them tell his life story, and I'm just like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, there's no way any of this happened. This kid, his whole life, to becoming a rocket scientist. It's almost as if, like, a lot of these stories for these people, which as time goes on, I begin to think some of these people didn't even exist. I mean, these historical figures weren't even real. They're just part of our story. Listening to his background, and I can't think of anything specific well, the whole thing is weird. It sounds like a story someone had written, because there's even kind of like humorous things in it, like what happened to him and at certain ages, and it just feels like bullshit. You know, hearing it just feels like bullshit, like the whole thing. I can't explain really what it was, but it's like hearing it, I'm just listening to it going, this didn't happen. Someone's writing this. You know, because there's like in jokes, or not in jokes, but maybe in jokes, there's humorous stuff embedded into it, which don't seem to be pertinent to his story, but are just added there almost like And the guy kept saying like, oh, and here's a funny thing. Yeah, and this is unusual, huh? And this is a funny, like it was someone made up the story of Jack Parsons. He wasn't officially, even though he was involved with early NASA, they don't list him as an early contributor, and they were saying it was because of his occult ties and his occult study. He was pretty much a Satanist, you know, and that's why the term occult gets such a bad rep. People hear occult and they just think, the devil. It just simply means hidden. Occult knowledge, hidden knowledge. And yeah, a lot of times it has to do with like magic or something like that, but it's not inherently evil. The reason you think it's inherently evil is because they tie it all to evil stuff. You'll hear the occultists and Satanists in the same breath. And the reason they want you to think it's evil shit is so you don't go looking into it yourself. You know, they don't want you to know anything about that stuff. You know, they like to keep a lid on things. Oh, speaking of keeping a lid on things, there's this woman I watch. I'll put her channel up there. Squirrel something. And she's been covering all the train derailments. And she's a great researcher. And she feels real to me. Like it doesn't see. I don't think this is a plant, but who knows? You know, you don't know. But she's been real good with covering this thing, like every detail of it. She'll tell you the companies behind, all the different people that are involved. And she did a video, I think it was yesterday, it came out, saying that she's going to take a step back for a little bit because she's been getting a lot of threats, basically. Emails, phone numbers, like, you know, people calling her. The implication is, you know, shut the fuck up, basically. Which, you know, it's like, it was kind of shocking, but then at the same time, it's like, well, no, they do this kind of stuff. It's just you know, she's just like a housewife, you know, with a laptop, and she's real good at researching. She has like a kind of autistic type of mind, you know, and yeah, they're trying to shut her down. So she's taking a breather, and you say like, you know, well, doesn't that make it look bad? Wouldn't that make, well, yeah, but at the same time, no one is going to want to pick up that gauntlet. You know, that's the whole thing. It's tough. It's like in her case, hopefully she inspired enough people to look into it themselves. The thing is, when I look at stuff like that, in my mind, even though I don't know exactly what's happening, I know exactly what is happening. 10 steps ahead. I'm like, they're doing this because of that. But for people, like a normal people, they're not going to make that leap, because people just can't believe that that kind of evil exists, and that there is a larger plan here, and there are plans within plans, like Dune. Yeah, it's crazy. It's not like all conspiracy. I mean, these things are happening out in, you know, out in the open, where you can just, you follow the paper trail and you can see how it all goes, you know, or the whatever trail, or just live in an area. Like, I don't know what is going to happen to those people. That it's not being covered anywhere, you know. And there's been a bunch of other derailments since that are kind of like the same thing. It's what we're being attacked. You know, we're being attacked by, you know, our own government is kind of what it is. You know, they want to get the stranglehold on the food supply. You know, Bill Gates, a few years ago, buying up all the farms. When they sent that edict to farmers that they had to destroy their cattle or sell them to the government. This stuff's all in the open. It's like it's all happening up. Like, well, they're blowing up the food plants, right? The refinery plants and the processing plants. They're destroying them. Psycho man, Dr. Bill Gates, because he's a doctor, right? I mean, everybody listened to him. he's buying up all the farmland. And then they have these train derailments going on that are basically like a bomb that goes off at these particular places they want them to, so that it'll poison the air and the people and the food supply. So that the food supply is being attacked because they really want to have that starvation meme going. But it's kind of hard to get that going because the world is big and there's a lot of sources for food. It's quite a tall order. So to try to even make a dent in it, they have to go hard in the paint, like the way they're going now. And you know, people can see all this stuff. The thing is, even if everyone was aware of what was happening, what could you do? What do you do? I mean, you're not going to overthrow the government. And what would you do then anyway? You know, it's hard. It's really hard. It's a tough one, you know, because you want to... Awareness is really the only thing you can do. Being aware. But some say, and I feel it could be possible as well, that awareness is going to be the only thing you need. Because once enough people, those with divinity, those that have a sliver of God, once enough of those people awaken, I just want to get across this thing here, and we all reach a certain vibrational frequency, then we get to, from what I've seen, read, understand here, couch, is we're going to just transcend the 3D realm here. And that's always been the case. We were always able to do this. You know, Jesus, I always kind of say, and with no disrespect, is that he's kind of like an IT guy, you know. He's the one that first pointed in this direction. Like, this system here wasn't supposed to be like this. Things are fucked up. So he came here to inform us it was fucked up, and here's how you get out of it. You gotta stop taking the lollipops from the devil. You know, you have to stop giving into a sin. You have to live a certain way. You know, you have to follow, you know, by his example, right? He's telling you, or he was telling you. And people always like, well, doesn't God just come down and can he do anything? Not here. In my opinion, you know, this is based on my own schizo theories, but there are people that hold similar ideas. This place was designed, of course, by God himself, but it was supposed to be like a learning area, like a testing area for people to try out their divinity abilities, I guess. I think that ties into a lot of the buildings you see all around the world that are similar, that have no plumbing. They don't have any plumbing to them. They don't have any way to be heated or cooled down. These weren't made for people to live in. It's almost like they were made, they were just built by people who had no need of those kind of things. Oh no. This is are the garbage trucks going here? Yeah, they usually have like a whole thing going on. They got like a little guy, a little satellite guy that kind of goes around the big truck, and he's always driving in left and right, crazy. You never know where they're going, so I like to try to get as far the fuck away from the garbage men as I can, because they dart in between these buildings to pick up. You know what they do. I have to explain that to you. But yeah, so this place was it was something else. It was like a training kind of school type of / facility. God, whoever or whatever you think God is, had his own people running it. And he designed it. Somewhere along the line, his own people, or a portion of them, a third of the faculty here, said, hey, instead of helping God's kid, because we're all one thing, we're just split into different points of attention, expressing ourselves as individuals. It's like, hey, we got God's kid here. Instead of training him and helping him to learn how to use his creation kind of abilities, if we could suck his energy, right, or her energy, the kid's energy, we could live in this material realm as rulers over any kind of world we want to build, and we can have them build it for us and live off their energy. And that's what they kind of did, and that's what they did, and that's where we are now. So the reason God himself can intercede is because I think what it is it's almost like, and it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, I could use a lot more context and larger words and examples, but to make it sound more palatable, but at the end of the day, it's almost like this was his company email account, and his own workers turned on him and locked him out of the account. I think he's locked out of this place. However that works, you know, because I don't think he ever thought that his people were going to turn on him, so he would have to have a back door or something. Like, it can't just be anything. Like when people talk about God, like, he could do anything. Yes, but there has to be some kind of rules with himself. There needs to be something, or else there's nothing. There's either none, there's no rules at all, or there's rules. If there's no rules at all, then none of this, we wouldn't be here, none of this would be working, because it would just be, I don't know what it would be, it'd be chaos, right? So it has to be some kind of structure, even among the divine beings. And there, I mean, you know, theology shows us this, and myth shows us this, and religious history, stories, whatever, it's all there. So I think he lost the ability to get back in here. And he's basically locked out, you know, by his own guys. He was able to send his son here, our brother, Jesus, to say, hey, look, this wasn't how this place is supposed to be. There's a way out, but here's what you got to do. And I think that was his job here. But yeah, that's a much larger concept that I've gone over multiple times as it's gone along. If I had any kind of organization on my playlist that made sense to anyone, I'd point you in that direction. But yeah, it's that's kind of the basis of what that theory is. And there's other guys that can articulate it better, and may not have exactly the same take, but a similar kind of take that they could tie to things that would make more sense to you, you know, maybe. I don't know. I can only do what I do. I don't try to, you know, the whole thing about trying to convince people that I'm right, or that I don't need people to believe me. I'm not trying to, you know, give false fucking doctrine or witness or whatever that the Christians get really mad about. You know, sometimes when you talk about stuff, you know, if you don't do it the way they want you to do it, they get pretty mad. They get mad anyway about everything. You know, I was watching this other guy that I watch. He's been getting trouble from Christians because he's talking about this kind of stuff, you know. And he's good too. I'll throw him up on the screen. And he's been getting attacked because of, you know, he'll do like a little prayer, and they don't like the way he does things, or the way that, you know. And he was saying some of the most spiteful, mean people are these so-called Christians. They're very gatekeepy. I think what a lot of that is, though, are the born again ones that come through AA. I know a lot of them are like that because there's a lot riding on their faith, because they tie it into going back into addiction. I mean, this is a group here. It's not like all of them or even a large number of them, but I think there are some that can get really cagey about it, because of that. Because they want to do everything right because they don't want to fall back into, the life they used to lead. So if it's not exactly that, there could be stuff like that. But yeah, they get real mad. They're real gatekeepy. So you just kind of have to ignore those people, just like you ignore the atheists or the people that laugh at you for, being in Jesus or whatever. You ignore all that stuff. You know that, though. I mean, we all know that. Ignore that. No one that visits me on a regular basis and is gonna fall into that fucking trap. We're all on the same page, basically. Unless you're not, then what the fuck are you doing here? Get out of here. Leave us alone. Don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.